Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Girl, Is That Legal? Now, I apologize profusely for being a bit delayed, but as you know, justice doesn't wait, and neither does my mental health. So that is why I didn't quite get a chance to comb my hair for you guys or apply appropriate makeup, but that's okay because you're still going to get that good content. You are going to get the content that you are here for. So thanks for joining us again. I'm going to bring on my guest I'm going to do the countdown and bring on my guest. And we have an even bigger surprise for you guys this week, which is we're going to do some hot topics for about 20 to 30 minutes. And then we have not one, but two on the record segments for today, where we help two different people who needed background checks and help them go through both what we've discovered. And I want to see your comments and I want to see the viewers' comments below. So let's get this started. All right, we're going to run this countdown. I know where it is now. All right, thanks, guys. So we've got our panelists for this week.
Hi. Hey guys, I'm back.
So I know some of you guys might be saying, where is Sue-Ann? Where is Sue-Ann? Well, Sue-Ann, we'll see if she's able to join us. But Sue-Ann Robinson, one of my new friends, but also current cast member of Ready to Love, she is actually flying back in after doing a press conference because she represents the family of Shanquella Robinson, the young lady who was murdered in Cabo by people who pretended to be her friends. So Sue-Ann is traveling back. We'll see if she can join us for a portion of this. But if not, we totally understand because she is out there making sure that justice happens for Shanquella and her family. All right. So drop in the comments, please. We'd love to see if you could drop where you guys are from. All right. So first up, I will reintroduce attorney Kyra Coffey, based here in Houston, Texas. Hey, girl.
Hey girl, how are you?
Absolutely. She does business and she does trust and estates law. And you do that throughout Texas, correct? So you help formulate corporations and corporate documents, all that great stuff. hmm
Yeah.
Um, and did I say it right? Wills and estates, or is it probate, or both?
So it is estate planning, which includes wills, trusts, and other important documents are related to your personal assets and personal being.
hmm
Probate is when someone dies and when those documents come into effect, and when you need to probate to transfer property and assets to the living heirs. So that, in addition to business, because I want my business owners to get their estate in order. Because why get a legacy and build the wealth to not properly distribute it if anything happens and you're no longer here. So that's what I do.
Gotcha. All right. And then our new guest for the week is attorney Ayana Fakir. Am I pronouncing it right, Ayana?
Yes, you are. You are. You got it.
Thank you so
That
much.
lipstick that I need to go buy.
Oh, yes. Okay. And tonight's episode is actually brought to you by Urban Slay. That's the brand of lipstick I'm wearing today, which is this one is called H-Town. It is a Black-owned lip brand created by my homegirl, Tamara, who is actually based out of New Orleans. And someone asked me what color I was wearing last week. Last week, I actually had on, it was called Big Easy. And it's also from Urban Slay. Let me see. It might be.
Okay, that's one I need to try.
You definitely do. I'll add a link to the description so we can support. Guys, I have my glasses on today because I'm also having a mental health day. Like, way too much was going on, but I do have a little judicial victory. I forgot to finish introducing you. Okay, sorry, my ADD.
Listen, you just move right on to your little lipstick.
No.
Like,
so
what about what I do for a living?
Oh no, that is very important. We'll get to my personal problems later. So Ayana, you guys, Ayana is one of my friends from the internet. My fiance gets on me because I really do make internet friends. And those are just people that I find to be completely hilarious, intellectual, and sane.
Let
So
him
that
know that I have a government security clearance and I'm good. I'm good people.
what better person to have on this episode where we're breaking down a background check than someone with a security clearance? Awesome. You can't talk about people if you're in their same boat.
Exactly.
Yeah, although I do like to talk about it. But Ayana is a federal disability attorney. You basically represent the government in disability actions.
I do. I do. Thousands of cases I've seen and heard so much.
Wait, is that when they're trying to take away our rights or like?
We are trying to protect the trust fund, the Social Security Trust Fund. When you finally retire from being a diva, something
You'll never retire from that.
you might have to dip into the trust fund. We are here to protect it.
Got you. So like the people who, like I had this case, our male client was facing 99 years. Unfortunately, he was being accused by his 14-year-old daughter of SA, of that assault. And a friend of mine was handling the trial because he refused to take a plea. And I had asked her, I was like, hey, I need some felony trial experience in this court. Let me know if anything comes up. She was like, I have something. And I was like, well, what is it? She was like, it's SA. And I was like, ugh. She was like, but I really think he's innocent. I said, oh no, for real? Tell me more. Now, I don't generally like representing innocent people when it comes to criminal cases that are heavy felonies, because if you lose, like if I lose, I cry and I get upset. I don't cry in court, but I keep it heavy on my heart. I can't think of anything else. I often don't hang out with my friends for months as I'm preparing for the case and trial. Whereas if they're guilty, it's like, well, stupid, you shouldn't have did that. Sorry, you're the one that decided to sell drugs. This is the cost of doing business. You should have put $50,000 hidden in your granny's walls to pay me in cash, sir. Back to
That's
the point.
The last place they're going to look.
Right. But this particular guy, he actually was innocent. And so when I got on the team, I said, okay, well, we're going to have to, how do we explain why a 14-year-old girl, a big girl, is lying on her dad? And so ultimately what I had discovered, and my friend had been on this has been her case for 2 years. She was appointed to the case and she was like, I don't know. And so I just happened while I was cross-examining her and I was cross-examining the cop. And I said, have you ever had children make up lies and say they were assaulted when they weren't? And he said, yeah. I said, what were the reasons? And I just had him lay the three out because I didn't know what the heck they were. And he was saying either, they're mad at the parent, they don't want to live with that parent anymore, or he gave some third thing that didn't apply. So I said, okay, mad, don't want to live with them. Gotcha. I ended up getting the social worker assigned to the family on the stand. And what I had discovered was the father, the daughter was complaining about how everything was at her mama's house. So the father was trying to get custody. Well, nobody in that house worked because they were all on disability.
They were all on disability. Oh, yeah.
More importantly, it was a total of 3 kids. The grandma and them were on Social Security because it was a mom, the mom's boyfriend, grandma's boyfriend, great grandma. She didn't have no boyfriend.
I bet you it was all fraudulent.
Her didn't work. And the entire household, none of the adults worked, not even the men, but they received $2,700 a month in disability payments for the kids. Each of the 3 kids received $700 a month for depression and this, that, and the third. They got diagnosed with depression at 4 years old. How do you diagnose a 4-year-old?
Listen, that's when you got to call the 1-800 they're committing fraud number.
Yes,
let the government investigate them. They investigate so thoroughly. They follow people in cars. They carry guns. It's ridiculous.
Oh wow!
But can you diagnose somebody with depression at 4?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And bipolar disorder and schizophrenia and oh yeah. Wow.
So I don't think that little girl had those things, but because they knew the system, they knew how to work it. And I thought, you worked your mind for good things as well as you do for scamming, you could be so successful. You could
And
be
what's funny is the money is not even a lot of money, but because it's easy to get, this is an easy route to get some money where
right.
we don't have to do anything. We just get to stay at home and collect the money.
Right.
So
And
they do it.
Dean saying, wow, those are extreme accusations for not wanting to live with that parent. But what it was is her family put her up to it. The mom, the
Yeah.
grandma, the great grandma, because if dad would have gotten the custody, all of those checks would have
All
ended
of those.
with them.
Yep.
Those checks
Yep.
would have went to dad. And dad was gainfully employed. He didn't need to live on those and didn't care to have that money. And
So
in
the
fact,
dad probably would have taken her off of it. He would have said,
yes,
no, I'm not even doing this.
he did
I'm
not
not
want
taking
her
her to
all
any of these
drugged up.
appointments. Yeah.
Right. He didn't want her
Yeah.
all drugged up. Luckily, in the end, we won. Thank God. And that dad, he loved his daughter so much. He said he still wanted custody of her if he could get it, because if these people are this sick where they would turn, her on him, then what
Yeah.
else would they do? And the little girl actually at 14 kept running away from home, such that at the time of the trial, she was living in a group home, a foster group home for girls.
Oh, and those
So
are terrible. Those
yeah,
are terrible.
it was really rough there. But going back to Ayana, you represent the government and
I do.
disability claims, and you have this fantastic podcast, y'all. Okay, so it is called Ayana Explains It All. I'm gonna get a link to it. I'm
Yes.
gonna drop a link. It's called Ayana Explains It All. And on the podcast, she breaks down really boring and complicated legal issues in ways that the regular, everyday person can understand. And she's very hilarious.
Yes.
Ayana, tell us about it.
Okay, so it's bridging the gap between current events and human behavior. So like the most recent episode was about my hometown of East Cleveland, Ohio, and how it has a corrupt law enforcement body, and how the corruption really comes from the administrative side, like the mayor and the city council. And
Mhm.
so I just broke down what's going on with their legal cases. They have a bunch of police officers under indictment. I think it's something like 20 police officers. And so now their force is down to 22 police officers, and all of the things they've been accused of, all of the civil rights violations, and et cetera, and how we get to this point. How did we get here? What led to this point, and how we can fix it? And I do a lot of that. How did we get here? How do we fix it? What do we do about it? How do we proceed? This is what you need to know. And I do it with a bit of humor, a bit of I throw some of my own personal stories in there. Let the people know what Earth is up to if they don't feel like reading or doing a search on Google.
That would be people like me. That would be definitely people like me.
You're a busy career woman. You don't have time.
Absolutely. So we see that our guest Anonymous has just joined. And Ayana, if you're not are you using your phone for this? If not, if you could text me the link again to your podcast, I'll drop it in the chat.
Okay.
Okay.
Actually not
And
using my phone.
same with Kyra. Okay, so Anonymous is almost ready to join us. We're going to talk about a few hot topics that we've just got to hit. And I'll just I'll give you guys the overview of what those are really briefly, which include, of course, we have to talk about the update with the Shanquilla Robinson case. We also are going to discuss Ready to Love. Cast member Blue was recently arrested and taken into custody by the U.S. Marshals. We found out why, and we've got the receipts, so we're going to talk about that. Also, and drop a surprise face or any emoticon of your choice if you were not aware of that. That unfortunately, yes, Blue from the current season of Miami Ready to Love, which is season 7, unfortunately has been arrested. I actually talked about that this morning on Kamisha Reviews, and apparently my guess was correct of what it was related to. Here we go. And then I said Shanquilla Robinson, Freaknik, real briefly. We'll talk about Freaknik, as well as, we have to briefly address Batiste from Love is Blind is going to be a baby daddy. Yeah. So let's get started first with Mr. Blue. I'm going over to the comments.
Oh, he's kind of cute.
Oh, he's very handsome. Yes.
Yeah.
They call him Blue because his eyes are in fact a bluish color. And you guys, as we go, feel free. Here we go. Feel free to drop additional comments and stuff like that. If there's someone who can make sure that this is dual, it's supposed to be broadcasting both on the Ages and Stages page on YouTube as well as Girl, Is That Legal? There we go. There we go. We got both of those. Oh, and I need to give the disclaimer again. Last week I had it up. Let me see if I can pull up the disclaimer again before we jump right in. Let's see if we got it right here. Ah, wonderful. Here we go. We're going to start with the disclaimer. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here's the disclaimer for this show, for our show, my show. This show is for entertainment purposes only, guys. We are not your lawyers. You have not paid us. Perhaps if you did, we could be in the future, but not tonight. Because tonight we are multifaceted, brilliant Black women that like to talk ish, read blogs, and mind other people's business on occasion. Now, this is not how we behave in court or at work, of course. Let's be very clear. We do have sense, and we have student loans, some of us. And
not anymore.
Congratulations, great. And we have the need to have a work-life balance so that we can stay sane. So that is why we love having conversations like this. We hope at the end you feel like you've been having brunch with your girlfriends, talking about both intellectual and ratchet stuff. So contact a lawyer in your state if you need help with your specific issue, or you can email records, plural, at Redwine Law, or call 855-4-SYMONE with a Y, because I'm Black, if you're in need of a lawyer or lawyer referral. Okay, let's move this out. Where are my diplomas? Y'all.
We trust that you graduated. We know.
We know.
Trust it.
You do know.
We believe you.
This is why I cannot have nice things. Okay. I let my fiance do he did a live here the other day. He was interviewing what's the gentleman's name? Tony from Ready to Love, this season of Ready to Love. Okay. And he said, "Can I use your office?" I said, "Yeah, just put everything back where you found it." He has not. All my stuff is on the floor. Diplomas on the floor. So as we talk, I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna put these things on. You're gonna see I'm wearing biking shorts like I am at the Freaknik. So that all of that is just gonna go on together. It's all gonna work together. So to start, Mr. Man. Oh yes. Also, if you'd like to support, I would love it because I'm poor. I'm cash poor. So the Cash App is Miss Redwine, MISS Redwine, my real last name, if you want to support there. But to get started, here we go on Blue. Oh, hold on. Here we go. Oh, yeah, you guys got to see this. Oh, yeah. Y'all got to see this. Hold on. This is okay. Poor little thing. So this morning on Kamisha Reviews, she broke the news. Kamisha Reviews, of course, is a YouTube channel. She broke the news that cast member Blue had been taken into custody by the U.S. Marshals. This is Blue. You guys may be familiar what he looks like, but even if you don't know him, it's still an interesting story. Okay, so here we go. This is Blue. Now, I got the indictment. So initially, we didn't know this morning what he was in for, what he was there for. All we knew is that he had been taken into custody. Thank you, Kyra. Shout out to Kyra as well, because Kyra is the one who sent to me the fact that, it was U.S. Marshals custody. And what we know about U.S. Marshals is basically they go and get you when it's related to a federal offense, or sometimes if you're in one state and the offense happened elsewhere, just due to the fact that like the Cincinnati cops can't come arrest you in Miami, which was the situation here.
Or if it's a federal crime in this case.
It's a federal crime. Right. And here it's a federal crime. So I said this morning, so Kamisha stated that she reached out to him for comment and he said, "Oh, it's just a misunderstanding." So I ran a background check. I read his background this morning and I saw and I noticed that he had some offenses from like 20 years ago. One of them was burglary of an unoccupied dwelling, which sometimes it could be a business. It could run the gamut of trespassing, something like that. But I then thought about my cases and some of my clients, which is I have a lot of PPP fraud clients right now. And a lot of them are getting indicted or arrested or what have you now because the feds are coming down on them. They've done their research. They've gotten to a point where they know who are the big fish that they want and who are the little fish. And initially, they were really just going after people who got millions, multiple millions, because the government was embarrassed. Now, as you'll see here, they're going after thousandaires.
Everybody.
Yeah. And I represented a number of people who received PPP loans. I actually helped them get them. But specifically, when I help clients, I chose to take on clients with no employees. And I had so many clients who were like, "Are you sure? Is this legal? Are you sure? Girl, is this legal?" And I said, "Look, I'm not about to waste and risk my license for you, a stranger, to get 20,000, which is the cap for an individual with no other employees." But what I was able to explain is that because independent contractors, people who are self-employed, because they were not eligible for unemployment as an employee, PPP was basically the option for them. So
Yeah.
it worked. So I represented realtors, hairdressers, those kind of people who had paid taxes, but were self-employed. So here with Blue, here we go. We got the indictment here. Let me make this a bit bigger so we can all see that.
Official indictment.
And let me take this off the screen. I'm gonna read it to y'all. Here we go. So South Florida resident sentenced to prison. So he receives a 2-year sentence. He gets 2 years in the feds, y'all. That is a lot for basically defrauding the government out of about $586,000. So basically what he did was he lied and pretended to have 3 separate companies. One of them was called the Wolf of Flagger, whatever that is. The other one is Crate's Tavern. And the third one is Fifth Marketing Group. Okay, so now mind you, in the course of 1 month, this greedy gentleman, I would say greedy bastard, but I don't know anything about his father. He goes for $128,400. Then he applies again for $183,000, and the third time he goes and gets $275K. How would you think that you would not get caught with numbers like that? And I think it was because a number of people thought, well, if I don't hit the $1 million mark, it's not flagged.
Or they have so many people applying for it.
They're not going to.
My application will just get lost in with the rest of them, and they won't. It's COVID. Everybody's panicking. People are dying. They're not going to come looking for me for this.
Yep. And his main issue is he lied about employees. This is where people were getting caught. You cannot lie about employees in the U.S. government, because guess who wants your money? Guess who hates liars? The IRS. Because when you say you have this many employees, they're then going to go back to confirm that at some point when it's time for taxes, that your number of employees matches your PPP. So if you have 0 employees, which was one of his issues, he had no employees for any of his companies. You're putting a target on your chest, fool, a total target.
I guess the part I don't understand is, like, how do people just feel like they can pull numbers out of the air and have no substantiation behind them? And the government, who is going to fact check all of your numbers and is going to follow the dollars, like, how do you feel like it's not going to come back on you? I don't care if it is a couple $100,000.
Because these people think they think the government is only going to go after the big ones.
They do.
Millions and millions. But now, since the government has hired like all of these extra IRS workers, they've got a whole fraud unit for the PPP loans. They're going after everybody. But the good news for him is, though, people like him who get 2 years are serving maybe 4 or 5 months. And
that is the hope.
Kicking it to a halfway house. And then
so why is it coming down? Because usually with feds, you have to do, isn't it 80% of your time, Ayana?
It's for certain crimes.
Okay. Violent versus non-violent, I guess.
Yeah. For this, they're just letting people serve a few months.
Somebody said, so he never got bail when he got arrested. So what it was is what I'm about to show you is that step 1 is a proffer, which is basically, it's an opportunity, like basically you sit down in the office of the feds with your lawyer and the U.S. attorneys, which is the Fed's lawyers, and you tell them everything you know. Usually your proffer is in exchange for helping them get a bigger fish. And right now with the Feds, let me put my glasses back on when I talk about Feds. And these are my glasses that make me look like an 80s drug dealer's girlfriend. Okay. With the Feds, generally, a proffer is only because they need help getting a bigger fish. And the bigger fish, and when it comes to PPP, are the people inside of the banks that were pushing through loans that they know had fraudulent numbers, fake numbers. There were a number of bank employees who were getting kickbacks, getting all kind of cash for looking the other way and pretending like they didn't realize that these documents were forged, fraudulent, and phony.
Yes.
So he didn't get bail did he get bail when he got arrested? It appears that what happens is he did the proffer, they charged him and walked him straight on out. So he probably didn't have to put up a bail at all. He probably just had to surrender his passport or something like that. Because I do have the docket here. Let me go to that. So let's see. Okay, I got it all. Somebody said those RTL ladies died.
Somebody said so he has a snitch.
Oh, so and let's talk about that. I want to see in the comments which of his cast members do you think released this to the because you know it was one of the castmates. You know it was. I have an idea.
The castmate have known that it was for PPP fraud because even when we were trying, look,
you said they would or would not have known that.
How would they have known? Because when we were trying to look it up and it was saying, you know, the marshals that we knew it was a federal charge.
They didn't need to know that. I'm saying they released just the fact that he was arrested.
Oh, okay.
Because we didn't know what it was for initially, just arrested in U.S. Marshals. Because if he's still talking with her, which is rumored as the case, and he probably she's one of these mean girls. So she might have got salty and said, you know what, let me leak this and piss him off. Now he's not paying my bills anymore. I got to pay.
Why would anyone do that?
I got to pay my own bills now. So it looks like here, yeah, we got the notice. We got an indictment, attorney appearance, motions. Oh, here we go. Bond. Oh, a $250,000 PSB. That was back in September of last summer.
That was for a charge. There were charges that came up under him.
Yeah, that type of bond, I believe it's a bond where it is a like personal recognizance type of bond where basically he won't necessarily have to put up that full amount. Somebody said he's still talking to who? So he actually, I also am showing this to show he knew this was coming. He knew this was coming, guys, because let me take this comment down.
He knew this was coming and he still did the show.
He did the show.
I was thinking the same thing. Like, why would you?
That's why I put the docket here. Something is covering up one of these here. Let me.
Because you know the government watches TV.
Right.
They're regular folks too. They are regular people too.
So because it shows here. Yep, he was indicted August of 2022. The first episode was filmed June 29th. June 29th. So basically into July, then it would have been the first 2 weeks of August. So this would have been like basically right around the time of filming. And he basically just dodged a bullet to be able to even be there for the reunion because the reunion was done sometime in December. And then basically he gave a plea. So that's what happened recently. It shows that the plea was done and accepted. Here we go. January 13th, he gave the plea and he formally gave all of the facts, January 13th. So that's also how we know, basically, he's probably helping them get like some bigger fish, such as the people in the bank. Also, when he gave his statement, and I have those here, I have the statement here. This is the actual, it's called
somebody had to have shown him how to do this.
The PPP thing? Yes. Yeah. So basically the gist of his statement was he acknowledges that he made up the numbers. He gave the made up numbers to his accountant. His accountant knew that they were in fact made up numbers, yet still verified them, attested them, and then submitted them to the bank. Because a lot of times,
if this accountant has done this obviously for multiple people or multiple businesses, and so that accountant might be a bigger fish, and then who knows, like you say, who the accountant had connections with at the banks. But
yes,
dang.
and the bank, because if you look at the statement, you can kind of see who they want when they cover the names. They bank to on behalf of such and such and such. They don't give the bank's name because there's probably someone within that bank that they're seeking to get.
Yeah.
It says here on this is his statement and he has signed it. He said that in July, he applied for $275K, claiming he had 26 employees for this marketing company, even though it had nada. Then
was it even a company, or was it just I just started this
kind of
company?
like an LLC kind of thing? It existed.
Okay.
It was like an LLC.
A paper or a reality?
Yeah.
Good question.
There were people who made up whole companies, addresses, buildings, everything.
Schematics, right?
Stuff that didn't exist.
So he named two others. He named two other companies, and then and Anonymous, we're going to come to you shortly. We're going to do Anonymous, a few more hot topics, and then we're going to close with a final one. But yes, his other company was his tavern. Remember on the show, he said he owned a hookah lounge, that he was a bar owner and he owned like a hookah lounge. And here it refers to an application for the something tavern. I pulled up the tavern, y'all. I went to their Facebook, Crates Tavern. Okay, so it did exist. It used to be in Fort Lauderdale. But y'all, look at this. The last Facebook post was from 2019.
Pictures off of Adobe Acrobat.
November 2019. Yeah.
It's giving very much Canva.
Right, Canva. Not Adobe, my bad. That's more like Canva.
Right. So November 2019. And I'm not seeing updated. I don't think my comments are updating. 9/19 is the most recent comment. Let me see what time it is. Yeah, no, I guess I have it. What somebody said, what show? This is from Ready to Love. So basically, this company folded in 2019, like before the pandemic hit.
Oh my God.
It shut down until March 2020.
Right.
Boy, I know you
or at least it appears that it was on its last leg, just based on how. So we've got this November post, and then
he was stealing.
Yeah, the posts were pretty scarce. So we got that. Yeah, Ready to Love was the show that he was on. Someone said someone leaked the tea in Sabrina Soul's comment section last night during the review of Ready to Love. Yes, he does know. Oh, was it the one in April? Was it the When in Rome person who leaked it? Because When in Rome is Jeffrey.
So do we have any idea what he spent the money on? Because it wasn't closed.
Yes. Okay, so let's get to that. It does state that in here, and he admits. He bought a car. He bought a car that he drove today.
Was it a nice
one? You said that he drove to work every day? He ain't got no job.
In that BMW, yes, he did. So it says
how much does he have to pay back?
All right. So they're doing a forfeiture. So hold on. Let me first answer what he spent the money on. It said he misused the funds. For an example, in August of 2020, he wired $31,000 to the company RES for the purchase of, quote, equipment. The equipment being a 2001 blue BMW M3. Why in the world would you want to buy I hope that's a typo. I hope it's a 2021, because you should not be buying a 20-year-old. It's got to be a typo. It's got to be a typo.
Not a car with it. I'm on computer with that. Bye.
What?
April, let me know if the person that left that comment. Oh, they said no, it wasn't When in Rome. Okay, that's correct. But yes, you bought a car. What'd you say, Kyra?
Somebody said that's clothes. I said not. He didn't buy it on clothes. He didn't spend it on clothes. But I didn't say that. I was asking Ayana like why she said that.
Well, that's
so Ayana. If you watched the show, then you would know.
No, it's just that picture I saw of him. It looked very LLB. So I don't know.
Buddy on clothes. That's actually very true. I always felt like he dressed like somebody's papa.
Yes, like he had those moccasin loafers, but yeah, they usually spend it on cars or
That
upgrades
makes
to
sense.
their home, or they
Yeah.
buy a home.
Especially in a place like Miami, right? That is just
Yes.
so
Oh, yeah.
superficial. People in Miami, they will spend money on a car before they have an apartment. They will be getting evicted, but driving around in a Range Rover. I mean, it's patently ridiculous because in Miami, your car is what they see first, and it's supposed to be a sign of success. But what was interesting, I did take a look at the plea deal as well because I wanted to get an idea of what he was facing. Even though, remember, the total is only five. It was like 573K or something, or it was less than 600K. Um, Basically, he was facing 30 years for one count and 20 for another.
Woo.
Was the max. If you get the wrong judge. So by taking this plea,
Ooh.
that got him to the 24 months. And I really hope that he can get out much, much sooner because he still has to do restitution. So he has a civil forfeiture, an asset forfeiture. So that asset forfeiture means literally they did a tally of what he owned and what he had left. And they found that it was about 276K. And they're taking that money from him. More than likely seizing it from different accounts. They definitely took that car. They called
Yes.
that M3, and they're going to
That's been
auction
on
it.
the auction. I'm sure
So
it's
if
on the
anyone,
auction now.
so if anyone wants an M3, you can probably go to the
More old.
website and check out any upcoming auctions of the M3 because that it's called a forfeiture order.
Hold
Was
on.
signed.
To your point though, Symone, I was talking to someone recently, and like a lot of people actually buy like planes and like
Yes.
other lavish purchases for relatively cheaper through those federal auctions. So just heads up if anybody is looking for a
Yeah, houses. Absolutely.
like all kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Anyway.
Also, you guys, I wanted to direct you before we close on this. So I don't want to wallow and like I'm not enjoying anyone's misery, but I just
No.
want you guys to know about this so that you can get in front of it because what happens, a lot of my clients who we're working on deals and we've received deals for them regarding to PPP fraud. Some of them didn't want to report on who they were working with or who helped them because they said, well, this is my friend. But in the end, whoever speaks first, you get the easier deal, the lower deal. You could potentially get no jail time. You could potentially get, just probation as well as having to repay because this guy's got to do 24 months. Plus he's got to pay back all of the 500K and he's getting 275 worth of assets forfeited,
And
meaning
he's getting a felony for the rest of his life.
absolutely a felony for life. And then after
he can never hold a license, any professional license.
you're right.
He
He probably
can't
won't even
work.
get a liquor license.
Yes, can't get a liquor license, can't work in any job where you have to, look at customer information or handle money for a business. He can forget it. He can
Yeah,
forget.
somebody said something good. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, that's okay. That's okay.
Thank you. She said,
I
"Hey,
know a few people who are in this predicament because
aha."
they frauded the IRS.
Same thing,
And
exactly.
yeah.
Scary. I was like, even though I qualified for it, I was still like, nah, I don't want no problems with Uncle Sam. We good. Keep them dollars.
I know
Right.
I don't qualify for a darn thing. I don't even look.
Yeah, and you're a government employee with security clearance, so you definitely don't want to play.
I don't put my name on nothing. I'm not. I can't even be friends with felons. I don't even forget it. Nope. No
I
thanks.
dated one a time or two. That's a story for story time on another day. But
Listen,
that
there,
one
but
the drug dealer
for the
by
grace of God, goeth I.
Sheesh, for real. It's my shirt. God, this shirt was too small. I'm sorry, guys. But also I wanted to say, this is a great comment. So Vernella's saying, hey everybody, wow, Blue, I'd like to know why he would do something like this. Now, this morning when I was on Kamisha Reviews, and we were talking about the fact that, we don't know what it was that he did at that point. And I said, they're coming down on PPP. It very likely is some white collar, such as PPP. Sure enough, I was right. And more than likely, you saw how I showed that on his Facebook page, the tavern that he referenced was pretty much, it looks like it was folding in 2019, November of 19, before the pandemic had even hit. So a lot of the clients that I have, they do it because they were already starving. They
Yeah.
were on the brink, if not at eviction, foreclosure, all of the above. And like I said, I pulled his record. He's got a plethora of things on there. And so I wouldn't be surprised if he did it out of a level of desperation. Remember, he is a dad. And a lot of times it's not just about your kids, right? Because he didn't need $500K to take care of a child. But I've seen a lot of times it's keeping up appearances. Like, remember Apollo, Phaedra's husband?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
indeed.
Yes.
What about him?
That one. Absolutely. Yeah, he got to go. And so I want to just bring your attention to this one final thing, guys, which was, so at the bottom of the indictment, I'm going to make this big for you guys, and I'm going to try to take that. Let me pull the comment off real quick, which is this. So a lot of people aren't aware that there's a federal law out there. It's called KETAM is basically the law, is one of the ways that it's referred to. But basically what it is the federal government has this whistleblowers law that is a good way to get paid. Now, I don't know if you guys saw, it was like on the Shade Room. They had an article that said on average, federal informants make about $80K a year. Now, mind you, that's in addition to whatever they actually do for employment.
Yeah.
Most informants don't just inform. Maybe they sell a little crack, maybe they take it, whatever. But separate from being an actual informant, what you're able to do is if you can report to the feds and let them know that, hey, this person has committed fraud with federal dollars, guess what? If they're able to close out the case and prosecute that person as a result, you are entitled to 30% of the money that they recover under many circumstances.
Yeah.
So they reference this at the bottom of Blue's indictment. So just to let you know, if you guys know anybody who's committing a little PPP fraud, maybe your baby daddy who owes some back child support arrears, or, I don't know, maybe it's that witch that you hate at your church who, keeps looking at your husband.
Really?
Lied about that.
I have an ex who
You have an
dumped
ex?
me in a very, very nasty, bad way, who betrayed me very nastily. And I did some Googling, as I like to do. He received 2 PPP loans for his entrepreneurial business, claiming he had 10 plus employees. He does not. He hires Mexicans from the Home Depot. And I'm not a vindictive person. However, I hate his guts. So
y'all got kids?
No kids. Just
Okay.
4 years of love.
Okay, gotcha. Well, yeah, maybe you can get some punitive damages for your pain and suffering.
Yes, I think so.
So the number here to call is 866-720-5721, guys. 866.
I'm just gonna keep my little juice.
5721 if you'd like to turn in an ex, current, anybody you hate for PPP fraud. That is certainly one way you can do it. And then also, there's actually, if you just Google it, you can put in the PPP lookup tool. You can literally put anybody's name in that and find out how much money that they got. Now, if they didn't get it in their personal name, then it may not come up. It's going to come up under the LLC or whatever they use to apply, but it will give you down to the dime both how much money they received and how many employees they claimed. So that's one way to kind of come on up.
Wealth of information out there. All you need is a name.
Absolutely. All right.
When you do that, do they link the whistleblower is kept anonymous, correct?
Oh yeah, the whistleblower, yes, they get to stay anonymous. And even if it's a company you worked for, they can't fire you. They're literally whistleblower protections. So if you work for a company, for example, that had independent contractors but lied and said they were actual W-2 employees, that's money that you can recover back. So whatever that the feds are able to get back from that company, you're entitled to 30%. So something to think of. All right, guys. So next up, we
don't always got to key their car.
Yes, not always, not all. What are we gonna do? All right, let me go ahead and get anonymous. It's getting late, and I want to make sure we give her time. Hello, hello. How are you doing? Oh, you're on mute, so let me know if you're ready.
Yes, I am. Hello.
How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Hi, Symone. Hi, Kyra.
Yes.
Hi, Ayana.
Hi.
Yes. Okay, so we really appreciate your patience. And it's Kyra, but it's okay. I
Oh,
used to do the
I'm
same thing.
sorry, Kyra.
Somebody said it's a whistleblower act. Great. So I am going to put your question up here on the screen. And remember, guys, so let me lay out the ground rules, which is you can't stalk people, you can't be a weirdo, you can't be crazy. Beforehand, I will send you some documentation for you to confirm that, like, you're not a stalker, you're not a crazy person, etc. But the way that you can get selected for a free investigation is you have to be following me on Instagram at Attorney Symone Redwine, which is here on the chat. You have to be following my YouTube channel, which is Girl, Is That Legal, as well as Ages and Stages. And then my TikTok as well, but I didn't tell you guys that before, so that's okay. And I have a form that I can send to you guys. I'll also link it in the description here, so you can just complete that form. It'll come straight over to me, and it'll let me know that you are interested in a free check. You can be anonymous, as you see here. You just have to be willing to come on the show to receive your results. All right. Any other questions before we get started? All right, before we get started. Okay, so anonymous. Here we go. Somebody said, I hope this turns out better than last week. Yes. Okay. So this is on the record. Is my church boo really who he says he is? I'm reaching out to ask that you please assist me with doing a background check on a man. We changed the name, but we're calling him AJ. I've been dating for the last 6 months. I had known AJ casually for 4 years, but we weren't super close friends until we started dating in November of 2022. I'm a widow with 3 girls. With my late husband, their ages are 15, 14, and 9. My 14-year-old lives with autism and is nonverbal, which makes me extremely protective of her and her sisters. I've dated 2 other guys since my late husband died 9 years ago, but this is the first time I'm considering introducing the guy that I'm dating to my kids. Oop, hold on. Gotta pull it down. Sorry, I saw something I gotta pull down, but I can still read it. That I'm interested in introducing to my kids. And then she puts in information about him. So basically, he's divorced. He says he has 3 children and that he's employed. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, that's basically it. Got it. And then if anything pops up on the screen, just FYI, I can blur it afterwards. So first, ladies, I will let you guys start with asking her some questions while I pull up the documents. Unfortunately, when I restarted my computer, it pushed out all the documents, so I'm going to do it again.
So, Anonymous, I do have a question. Are there any red flags that you have seen that made you want to do the search? Or I definitely understand the security level for your children, and my heart goes out to you having lost your husband. So I definitely understand wanting to protect your kids. But is there any red flags or anything that he has done or has maybe skirted around or alluded to that's made you want to do this background check?
Um, Nothing major. At this point, for me, it's mostly the security of my children and just being cautious of whom I bring into our home, into their lives. Like I mentioned, I've been widowed for 9 years now, and I've dated 2 other guys, but I never brought them home, introduced them to my kids or anything like that, because I don't play around like that with my children, especially having a daughter that lives with special needs. And then having lost my husband, with my kids being so young and having them suffer that loss along with me, I just don't want to risk bringing someone in who, it possibly may not work out. And then it's not just my heart, but it's my children's heart as well. Um, that's broken. So I'm not going to play with their hearts like that. But since this gentleman and I have been, like I mentioned, we've known each other for 4 years, just casually, not super deep or anything. We didn't visit each other homes or anything like that, except for in the past 6 months where we started dating and started to take our friendship to another level. And I think because of our history of being friendly with each other for the 4 years, there's a comfort level there, and things are moving faster than they normally would. And I just want to like slow the brakes and do some due diligence, some checks before moving forward.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Anonymous, you say that you're thinking about introducing him to your kids. Do your kids know that you're dating
They
him?
do.
Okay.
Yes.
Do they ask
Not
you?
him per
Okay.
se, but they know that I am now dating someone. I try to, be open with my children age appropriately as much as possible. And that was information I wanted to share with them, but I told them I wasn't going to like introduce the person to them until I felt the person was worthy of meeting them, and they understood. But I did
Hmm.
want to account for my absence at certain times because I'm very close to my kids and we spend a lot of time together. And in dating, I'm like going out with this person and I'm leaving home more than usual. And so I needed to account for that to them.
Now, have you met his children?
I have casually, so we haven't, I'm not in a rush to formally meet his kids either,
Okay.
just because I don't want that pressure there for us to meet each other's kids. But I've seen them.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, where have you seen them at? You've seen them at church or like out at a
Yeah,
park?
he yeah, he invited me to his church a couple of times. So I've gone to his church service with him twice. And yeah, that's when I saw his kids.
So you two
And we
Now,
met
didn't go
live.
together, but
Oh,
I
okay.
sat by myself in the pew and he was involved. He's
So
involved with the church. So he was doing things
do most of your interactions happen in church or outside of church?
outside of church.
Okay. So you've seen
now,
him how
We
he
spend
is in
time together
church.
outside of church.
Okay, so you've seen him how he is in church and you've seen him when he's out just being casual and okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I've met like his friends and things like that. I've introduced him to my close circle of friends. So we've done like the friendships
So
introduction.
okay,
So
but how do you introduce him? Do you introduce him as your boyfriend or your friend?
yeah, no,
As
I,
your
I
boyfriend.
introduced him to my close friends as my man,
Okay, how does he introduce you to his friends?
as his lady.
As his okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
okay. Now,
Okay.
Anonymous, did you ask him anything about his past? Like, has he been married before? If he's been arrested before, has that ever come up
Hmm.
just generally about about what the past would look or what the
Yeah.
past would look like?
Yeah, I've definitely asked him about his past, and he's informed me that he's been married before. His three children are with his wife. Yeah,
Wife or
ex-wife,
ex-wife? Okay.
ex-wife. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay. But he didn't allude to any issues with the law or no
No,
no prior arrests or anything? No tax
no,
evasion? No, I'm joking.
no, he didn't. No, he didn't.
Were there any
Okay.
domestic issues with his ex-wife? Like was there violence or verbal abuse or any kind of anything like that?
Um, Not that I know of.
Oh,
Not violence, and he doesn't seem like a violent guy. He's actually really gentle and likes to like protect his peace. He did, what we talk sometimes about past relationships, and I'll inquire about that because I think that's important just to know how they were in relationships.
yeah.
And he was just disclosed, just things weren't as harmonious as he would have liked them to be. And he did mention like um, fights, so not physical fights, but like, couple fights with words and things like that. And mention how he doesn't like that. So like he's all about peace. Because I would ask him like, what can I?
Mhm.
If I asked him before, like, what can I do for you? What can I offer you in this relationship? And he would always say peace. I
Hmm.
just want peace. Yeah.
What does he
So,
leave
and I
back?
don't want to like go into I guess it's been 6 months too, right? So I've been really, I don't move fast. So I kind of move slow and stuff too, even though it feels like it's moving faster than I normally would. Um, I try to not judge because when he tells me, oh, we argued a lot or she fought a lot or whatever, not physically, just argumentatively,
Mhm.
I'm also am like, well, there's another side to the story, right? So I'm not
Right.
gonna judge and
Absolutely.
be like, oh, she
Absolutely.
did da 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 to
Mhm.
him.
Mhm.
I'm thinking, well, there's a whole other side to the story I'm not aware of. Like this is his side, and I'm gonna take it for what it is, but fully aware that there's other sides in these
Definitely.
stories.
Anonymous,
Okay.
what does he do for a living? Just curious.
I'm sorry.
What does he do for a living?
He is in manufacturing.
Okay. So like he's like is he a developer? Is he working at a factory or and it doesn't
Yeah,
necessarily per se.
yes. At a factory.
Okay.
They make
Um,
parts.
okay. Okay.
All right. So, okay, so we've got the backstory. I have uploaded. So here it is. Is my church boo really who he says he is? All right. So now I've got these documents here, and it is 2 sets. Hold on. Let me just make sure. Yes, great. We got the redaction. All right. So the first thing is you knew that he'd been married before. He had told you that, married and divorced. Right.
Right.
And I did see divorce record from one woman, and I did see that it was a bit contentious. Was it your understanding he had one child with that person or multiple?
No, three, multiple.
Okay, 3 with her. Okay, interesting. Okay, we'll get to the number of kids. But they are in fact divorced. But here's what I'm concerned about.
Okay.
He gave me 2 addresses for him. I looked up both of them. And then I found this. Okay. One of those addresses is the address on the street that's the name of a state. You know what I'm talking about. You know what street that is, right?
Okay.
Um, that was purchased with another woman.
Yeah.
And that woman on some
Right.
of these documents has his last name. Okay.
Mm.
So I
Oof.
covered it up here, but right here where it says owner's name, this is his
Cookie
name
sister.
and his last name. And of course, I'm going to give you these unredacted. That's his name and his last name. And then this is the woman's name. On documents, sometimes I see her name using his last name, and other
Mm-hmm.
times it's not. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
I
go ahead.
I was
Was
gonna say I'm somewhat aware
Okay.
of the joint ownership of a home
Uh-huh.
at the one address, and what he tells me is they are in dispute on how to deal with like dissolving that situation. So they're still trying to figure that out.
Is
Okay.
this with the ex-wife?
so I was like, when did
Yes.
he get divorced?
Okay.
Hold on. Wait. No, wait. He's saying this is the ex-wife? Anonymous? He's saying this
Yes,
house.
I'm here.
Is he
Uh-huh.
saying that this house is with the ex-wife?
No,
Okay.
Oh, it's
That's
with
what
the,
it's with a
another
different
one.
woman. A woman that was
it's
just
with
his.
a different. Yeah, it's with a different person, not the
Okay.
ex-wife.
So that is what I saw. I saw actual divorce records. There was divorce records that also dealt with child support. Okay. And then separately, this house is with another woman. Like I said, sometimes she had some records have her having his last name, others do not.
Mm-hmm.
And then let me keep scrolling on this.
But he told you about this house.
Yes.
Okay. Well,
And I
He
actually,
purchased a woman.
go ahead.
The reason that he purchased a house with another woman that was
Yeah. I mean, that was just
not
3
his.
years ago. That was actually during the pandemic, just about. No, let me see. What date was that?
Yeah, that's more
He
recent.
got
July
divorced.
2020. Yeah. Yeah. Why did he say he bought a house with a woman that was just his girlfriend if he's so churchy?
Yeah, I right. I mean, I wouldn't do it because I think that's dumb to get a property or anything like that legally with someone you're not married to.
Mhm.
But yeah.
And he's not American, so I don't know. My thought is that probably she might have made more money. I pulled her up. She has what appears to
Hmm.
be a very stable job in healthcare. She might have made more money and been able to qualify for so much, but maybe needed his income for the rest. Because his job is very conservative, low paying. I think I saw in a document that he was
Yeah.
claiming that it was, minimal. But I think you're aware of that. And it's okay that you don't care if he's nice to you and he can take care of himself,
so he's not from the U.S.
No.
no.
Okay. What
Right.
country is he from?
Mm-hmm.
He's from West Africa.
Yeah,
He's from a country in West Africa.
don't necessarily need to be too specific, but yes, but you get it. Because you were married to an African too, weren't you?
I was married to
Yes.
a West African. Yes, I was.
Yes.
Run.
Oh Lord. Oh Lord.
I'm not saying you should run, but I'm saying if
No,
you
I
run,
hear you.
So I
hear
will say
you.
this. So initially, so to kind of wrap up the house part, initially I was really concerned about it because they had purchased it together. Like I said, she had his last name on many of the documents. I double checked them with
Okay.
on multiple systems. However, and I tried to pull up the actual deed record, which I can do in most counties. Your county
Uh-huh.
costs, like, I have to get a subscription that's like $250. I love you, but not that much.
Oh,
So
right.
you can do that. But on actual deed records, people are required to say so and so as a single man or as an individual man versus married person. And I did
Right.
see on one document that his did not say married, it said individual. So
Yeah.
that's a good sign as far as I'm concerned. If you felt less comfortable about it later, you could always say, hey, you know what? Can I see your deed document? I need to know that you're not married.
Yeah.
And that would be one way to do it. Also, number two, this is also what makes me think he's not married. He's just in a effed up situation. Is this right here? All right. So he got evicted, po baby. He got evicted, but it was from a different address. Well, it's on here. We'll zoom it out. We'll take it out later. But with the other address, I covered up the case numbers and all that stuff. But I needed you to know the other address so that you can compare it to realize that this is 2022. So if they bought the house in 20, he started a new lease. It said his new lease started March 1st of 22. That says to me they weren't dating anymore. He moved out, got another place, is trying to live on his own. Because you don't buy a house with a woman and move out and get a separate lease, right? If everything's
Right.
going great. Yeah. So I think that supports that. Now, he is pretty broke and he's very financially irresponsible. I think that's very
Mm,
clear. He's
do
got
you know his
eviction.
credit score?
Oh
that.
yeah, do you?
What was that?
Do
Do
you
you
know his
have his
credit
credit
score?
score?
Do I know his credit score?
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
I do not.
Okay, it's probably going to be really bad.
Yeah.
So if that matters to you, and
Uh,
it doesn't matter to everyone,
it does matter to me.
okay, how do you evaluate that when you decide if you want to get serious with someone?
Well, I would rather have someone who is responsible with
Mhm.
money and know how to manage well.
Right?
Um, so I mean, I've had bad credit scores before, but that's when I was like 19 to 23 or something,
Mm-hmm.
and worked it up and brought it up high. So I'm not sure why someone at our age, and he's older than I am,
Gotcha. Yeah,
should be.
he's got two judgments against him that have been made against
Ooh.
him. One was him and his
Ooh,
ex-wife, and then one was him as a person. The one I'm more concerned, the one with his ex-wife has been satisfied. And that was around, like, I don't know, it was over 10 years ago, we'll say. So I'm
okay.
less concerned about that. But I'm very concerned about the one that has not been satisfied. That one is, and it was actually with a woman that sued him for that. So let me see if I can get to this lady. Here we go.
Like a
Look
personal
at
law?
her.
A lady.
Got
Yeah.
lawsuits and
A woman named
pictures.
Veronica sued him. A lady named
Oh
Veronica.
wow.
Of course, I covered up his name information. She sued him and for $1,000. Um, it is not. It's her regular name. So this isn't a business. This isn't a car rental. This isn't a landlord tenant situation. It appears a woman loaned him money and he didn't pay her back. She
A
then
woman loaned him money.
a woman loaned him money
Oh Lord.
and he did
What were
not
the
pay
years
her
of his
back.
marriage?
What's
Do we
that?
know the years of his
Yeah.
marriage?
At this point, he was going through a divorce. The divorce did not speak to whether or not it was like due to infidelity or any of those things. I did pull some of those records, the records
But
that were public,
so like
but
this money loan would have been outside of that marriage?
it would either be during the divorce or let me see. I got the divorce record here.
Were they married for a long time?
That's what I was trying to find out, like the start year and end year of their
They
marriage.
divorced. Okay, let's see. Here we go. Okay. The divorce, because he's got a long little docket. This is a divorce docket. The divorce docket is long because it ended up being largely about child support. So he filed for divorce. So that's important to know. So that's consistent with what he was saying, in that he's saying, I wanted peace. This lady was driving me nuts. So 2008, he filed for the divorce, and he received it. Gosh, I want to say 09 hearing, 2013 final decree for the divorce. Okay.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah, so that means there was a lot of arguing. That's what that
So
means.
is he paying child
2007.
support or she's paying child support, the ex?
He is sometimes. So that's the other thing. He is sometimes.
Oh,
So
That's a no.
yeah. So okay, I want you to very much understand what it means when he has the outstanding judgment to Veronica. So he owes the lady Veronica $1,000. That was back from like 2012. It accrues like 6% interest every year. So we've now got, 10, 11 years of accruing that interest on that. But if you were to ever have a joint bank account, they would seize your money in that account. If you have a joint bank account, and I've seen this happen to a client, she had direct deposit into that joint account. He owed a judgment. They seized it and garnished it and applied it towards his judgment. She tried to go to court and say, wait, that was my paycheck. That was my paycheck. And the answer is, once it hits that account, it's either of yours, it's either of yours.
No.
Both names are on it. So what that does mean is, until he pays up all of his debts, you cannot have no type of joint account, period. Understood?
and with that, those child support arrears, the IRS will take whatever money you guys get together, and then you'll have to apply to get your portion of the money from
Right.
that.
The other thing with the child support, okay, with the
So
kid.
he's not paying the child support.
Oh, you
That's
really?
Times.
Okay.
not
Why
responsible.
isn't he paying it?
No. I'm asking. I said, so
you're
he's
asking.
not paying the child
There
support.
have been times when he hasn't, and he had to
wow.
go to jail for it. At one point, he had to go to jail for it, for not paying.
So that means
Oh, hell no.
Did he
Yeah.
tell you that? Did he tell you that?
No.
No.
Never.
It wasn't long. I think so. This is what I'm showing you right here. There was a bench warrant issued for his arrest and apprehension. And he had to pay a $500 cash bail, which he did. Now, that bench warrant is because basically he had filed for a reduction of child support. He was initially paying $500 for one child. It said his monthly income was only like $2,500. And then when his income went down, I know, girl, that's why I said, are you sure you want to be this poor? He's poor.
No. Oh Lord.
Let me show you how poor he is. Hold on.
Ooh, no.
Oh,
No.
Stop the madness. I'm done.
No.
so while she's going there, Anonymous, how are you feeling so far?
Yeah.
I
let's
am feeling aware.
Aware.
I'm feeling aware. And this is exactly why I like to move cautiously. And I was already planning a background check, just because it's something I just feel like you have to do now when you're dating folks, even folks But it was just a blessing to come across Symone and saw that she was doing this in depth. I read and I thought, oh my gosh, let me reach out to her, because I probably would have gotten like some surface level stuff. So this is crucial.
Absolutely.
And here's the thing about men who say they want peace. They want you to be their peace, bring their peace, whatever. It's because they are in a bunch of inner turmoil. Like they are twisted on the inside. Things are bottled up, buttoned up, a lot of stuff going on in their head. They can't talk about, won't talk about, they're lying about. So they can't take turmoil from an outside source,
Right.
because they're already steeped in it. A person who is already at peace, he could be peaceful anywhere. But somebody who is in a lot of trouble, and this man got some financial troubles, he's not going to want to deal with arguing and fussing every day from a woman.
Yeah, no. All right. And then this is what I wanted to show you. This is like a breakdown from one of his documents. I had to show it to you this way. It's better. But of course, I can give you all of it. So this is a breakdown. This is what he was earning in 2007 at the time that he filed for divorce. But basically, he's at times making less now, which is part of the complaint. So basically, it said in an order in 2007, he stated that he was employed making $2,500 a month. At the time of the initial order back in 2007, he was making $2,500. This is when he is seeking a reduction of support because it said it was employed at that much per month, but then it went down to $1,600 a month. At the same time, the petitioner was
How do you
employed
survive on that? I
at
don't get it.
and earning $14.98 an hour.
Oh Lord.
And also but he had a second part-time job. It says when the support was calculated, he was given credit for one non-joint child. So basically that's showing he had one with her and then one outside of her. Okay. This is important to follow. Support has increased to $510 a month as a result of cost of living adjustments. Now, again, he's seeking to get it reduced. Let me scroll up. He brought this motion, But look at this. It says at 2016, at the time of the order, he has added another non-joint child to his household. That's a kid that's born in 2009 and has another one born in 2010. These are not of his wife. So remember he told you he had 3 with his wife? Wasn't that what he said?
Yeah.
So we got another 3 with his wife, liar.
Girl.
But he's churchy, right? But he's churchy. But he's churchy.
Wow.
He loves the Lord. Is he talking about he's practicing abstinence? Any of that foolishness?
Oh Lord, no.
And then, so this is the 2 kids. Remember, so this is, look at paragraph 6. He's got one born in 2009, another born in 2010. Those are not 9 months apart.
Oh wow.
Or wait, they might be. February of 2009 to July of 2010. So February, yeah, okay. That would be over 9 months, but still.
Is he a citizen? Is he a citizen of the U.S.?
Yeah.
Are we allowed to ask that?
No, that's a good question.
Yeah. No, yes.
Okay.
He does have a social security number, so I would. Okay. But then in addition to these 2 kids, he has a third kid. Petitioner is also parent of another non-joint child born in 2007. Okay. So, and then he also has a child born in 2003. The child born in 2003.
That's 4. I just counted 4.
That is 4. That's 4 that we've got there.
And then who is this child?
That one lives in another household and for whom there is no court-ordered support. Okay?
Okay.
Petitioner is not currently employed. That's him. He left his job to care for a relative. He didn't apply for unemployment. He bought a van and is now self-employed during delivery drivers. So Uber probably hit him right on time. Does he drive Uber?
No, not that I know of.
Got you. He does have multiple LLCs. He's stating to the court here that he can afford to pay $50 a week. So as a Christian, I say this, okay, we all love the Lord here. I'm on the verge of hell any given Tuesday, Thursday, or Friday, right? But you have to think to yourself, how are you going to feel knowing he's taking you on dates, he's doing the things that you deserve to have as an adult who's been responsible, who's financially planned, who's gotten an education, gotten a good job, knowing that he wants to pay for his kids $50 a week.
Yeah, that's no.
For all 6 or however many of them it is?
No. I've counted 4.
There is at least 4. That is correct. There are at least 4. And the time frames, because remember, he did not get divorced until 2013. Filed in 2007, right? But look at this. He filed in 2007, but he has a non-joint child also born in 2007.
So here's the thing. Though. He may have filed then, but maybe it took them forever to figure out all this other stuff, and they weren't living together as husband and wife. Maybe they were separated.
Could be, but I was seeing their addresses on apartments and things together.
Oh, well, never mind then. Carry on.
Mm.
So I could see the divorce. I mean, as he said, she probably wasn't giving him peace, but it just seems like somebody else was giving him a piece of something, a piece
Mm-mm.
of
That's where he was
Mm.
taking his van. He was driving his van.
right, because that's where he got
through-
that baby. And then you see, but that's
Yo.
not the same baby he had 2 years later. I mean, the same woman he had a kid with 2 years later. 2 years
Mhm.
later, he has a baby with someone in '09 and again in 10.
So now you have to deal with him and all his kids and all the baby
Oh
mama.
Lord. No.
And any arrears, okay? So this is just to let you know where I came up with the understanding that he has more. One, his kids were not with his wife. Two, this is just a minimum of 4. There can be more out there.
There
I was
can't
gonna
be.
ask, does he go back to his home country often?
Mm,
No.
No, okay.
mm.
Which is strange for West African. They go home a lot because they always want to go back to the country and say, "Hey, look what I did in America," and "Hey,
He must
uncles
can't
and
afford it.
aunties."
I mean, he ain't gonna be going there. You know, I don't even know why I asked that question because he don't make enough money to go back, and I'm not even trying to be funny.
Right.
But
Oh
That is
Lord.
what it
the
sounds
numbers,
like.
the math will not be mathing if you say yes, he does go home often. I was just never mind.
But the point is, she's a widow who had a loving marriage and she lost her husband. And here comes this guy who's like, "No, I want peace. I like peace. And it was
Mm.
just me and my ex-wife and our kids." And he's lying. He's
Has he
lying
actually?
to this woman who he knows has this history, this painful history. Why would
Right.
you come into her life and just plop your lying
Yeah.
behind down in the church pew next to her?
Not the church pew. Oh
Listen,
Lord.
And ma'am, do you own your home? Are you a homeowner?
I do. Yes.
Mm.
I
mm-mm.
do
I'm
own
sorry
my
to
home.
say
Run,
this.
Did he ask to
run.
move in at all, or does no? I know he
No.
doesn't have the kids, but does he say like in the future, like I can move in with you, or has
No.
there been
Mm-mm.
conversations about that? Okay.
No.
It sounds like you
Mm-mm.
probably would have shut that down.
Yeah, that wouldn't even. Yeah, I don't think he'll ask me that.
He doesn't
He
sound like
Okay.
the move in type. He sounds like the move on
can't.
type.
And just note that eviction was last year, okay?
Ugh.
With that eviction,
Ah.
they ultimately came to a conclusion, but he missed 3 months of rent. 3 months back to back, so
Oh
he was
Lord.
going through it, and it appeared to be from he moved in at, like, March, but it seemed that he missed, like, May, June, July. It was 3 consecutive months together that he missed, and then he came up with the money last minute, or they came up with some type of payment plan is what it appears, because he likely still lives there. Isn't that your understanding?
No,
This
not
is
anymore.
Oh, he doesn't live in the apartment situation.
No.
Okay,
No.
so then he did get evicted. So that's another thing you're gonna have to know. Like, it kills your credit, right?
Yeah,
And
he's probably in like the 500s, the 400s with his
and
credit.
also, this is very important to know. He said with old girl that he owns the home with, right?
Mhm.
He said basically that they're trying to figure out how to deal with the house, right?
Uh-huh. Yep. That's the
So I looked
story.
at all the records. He's filed nothing. He's filed nothing. There is no pending lawsuit to split the house or to order, one person to sell it and give the other person, half the equity if there is any. There's nothing in play. So I say that to say it's no different than men who say, "Oh, I'm going to get a divorce. I'm going to get a divorce," right?
Right.
It's just
Right.
Nothing's
paperwork.
on
You
file.
just got to file the papers.
Right. What steps are you taking to come
Right.
through for me? What steps are you taking to make this happen? So,
Right.
uh, maybe he's done something that isn't reflected in these records, but these records showed, again, nothing related. It showed the house, it showed the taxes are up to date, all of that, and it showed that even this year both of their names are listed on that house and are listed as
Mhm.
contacts for the payment of taxes and anything else going on. But it really
Yeah.
sounds like one might need to sell it to the other.
Right.
If you sell it to the other person, all they have to do is basically refinance it, or he can get an order from a court stating that when it is sold, she's got to give him X, Y, or Z. The
Yeah.
problem, though, becomes a lot of times when that person is still in the house, right? If they know they got a share or whatever, they'll either try to get the house sold for nothing, or they let that house run into foreclosure and don't pay a dime because they know it's going to ruin the other person's credit too.
Yep.
So
Mhm.
again, that's
I
a
would
bad
think
situation for you.
What
I'm
is
about
his?
to ask, like, who's living in this property and
Yeah, is
who's
he living
paying
there?
the mortgage? Like,
He
is she living
he
there?
is.
He lives there.
He does, and she moved out.
She moved out. Okay. That's so
Okay.
that's interesting. So first he moved out and got evicted, and then he moves back in, and then she's now elsewhere. Now, I'll have to
And it
double
should
check.
be easy for him to get that from out under her then.
Mm.
What is he waiting
Right.
for?
I don't
She
see how he
well,
can the house is a $300,000 home. I don't
So
see how
he
he can
has to pay
qualify
the
that.
mortgage.
oh Lord, not the
I don't
three
see how
hundred
he can
thousand
qualify
dollars
for
with the
that alone.
$50 child support.
Is he current on the taxes?
It says, yeah, it doesn't show any issue with taxes.
Okay.
Yeah. But I believe that both of their incomes were likely needed to qualify to purchase it, because if he's the
Right.
kind of man that as he's probably presented himself to you, if he could, he probably would want to get a house on his own, right?
Yep. And
So
that's been my question. I'm like, give it to her. For me, it's an easy fix. I'm like, let her have the house. Like, what's the fight? But
he might have put all the
yeah.
down payment down and feels like, I don't want to walk away from that. But even then, she could negotiate. She can do a variety of things. But I put my glasses on because I want to wrap up. I want to give you the criminal stuff. And then I
Oh
want to
yeah.
answer any final questions for you, as well as let me go back to the comments, see if I missed any good comments from our audience. Hold on.
Woo, this is heavy.
If you guys, somebody said block them. Someone said, how much do I charge to do this privately? I absolutely do it privately. If you go to my Instagram, you can click in the bio and you can schedule it. It has my pricing on there. If for some reason you don't see it, just shoot me an email to records, plural, at redwinelaw.com. Absolutely. Private person, you're welcome. Okay. So, ladies, Kyra and Ayana, if you guys could let me know if I missed any other important comments that we should answer about anything in particular. All right. But so for me, the last and most important is the criminal. The good news is he has no real criminal history. Okay. By real, I mean traffic
I was like,
offenses,
what's
tickets.
oh.
That's
That's all
good
we
for
got.
him.
That is great. There is no issues with his ex-wife, where, she didn't call on him, he didn't call on her. I don't see anything like that. Because his sole arrest, right, was related to the child support. And to be more specific, what happened is he failed to show up to a hearing, and it was a hearing that was supposed to set his final support. To be honest with you, I can absolutely understand why someone may not realize how serious it is to show up to a civil hearing when you are the petitioner, right? So he was the one that petitioned. So he probably felt like, oh, I don't need to show up to this. I'm willing to waive, or I'm okay with the dollar amount, whatever the case might have been. So he didn't show up, but they still issued the bench warrant. So when you see that's the warrant that's there. Okay. However, when I first went through this, I was like, oh, good. It's just crim. It's just like, it's all traffic related stuff, driving related things, right? And especially compared to, the results we got last week, Lord Jesus. I was like, oh, this is nothing. This is a walk in the park. Oh, baby.
It's a petty misdemeanor on there.
Yeah. Let me make
What's
it bigger.
that?
Let me make it bigger. Hold on. All right. So, that one is he was using a cell phone while he was driving.
Oh, the petty misdemeanor. Okay.
Driving with a cell phone. This one at the top of this page is driver's license, driving after suspension, basically driving with a suspended license. Now, pay attention. And I know that the case numbers are showing y'all, but I don't care. Like, this is criminal. It's fine. But this is 2020. All right. He got 2020. He gets a driving with suspended license. 19, he gets the speeding. He gets another driving without the license without a license in 17. Hold on a second. In 12, it's related to child support. Something here. Conciliation. What year was that? 12. No, that's fine. Converted and closed. This one that he was convicted. Being noisy to somebody. That sounds like he was just being black.
Lord.
And then there is another driving with suspended license. Here's the thing. This is what ladies, I want you to lean in. If you don't remember anything else I say today, what you need to know is don't ignore driving with suspended license. What that means it's suspended because he hasn't paid his child support.
Oh.
They take your
or
Right.
sometimes they have a judgment against them from a car accident that they did not pay, and so the state suspended their driver's license. Either way, don't ignore it.
Don't ignore it. Yes. And of course, it could be an actual DUI. Because, for example, in my state, if you get it,
Not a
there's
DUI.
Kamisha. Oh my gosh, I just saw her. If you get a DUI, then they automatically suspend your license if you get a DUI. So basically, when you see a suspended license, it's probably something criminal along the lines of DUI or an accident or child support. So you're going to want to ask him, especially if he keeps driving around with a suspended license. That speaks to his judgment, wouldn't you think? Wouldn't you say, Anonymous?
Yeah, I would say that, whatever reason it is, it's irresponsible.
Right.
Again, for someone our age, like my age and his, he's a few years older than I am. Like, I don't get it.
And if he has
Like,
kids in the car and he gets pulled over
yeah,
and he's driving with a suspended license,
yeah.
someone can't come get the kids, you know what happens to the kids.
That's crazy. Yeah, now that's
Absolutely.
what I don't
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
Somebody said he ain't got no down payment money. Queen of Everything said, so his license was suspended due to payment of non-support. Yes, that is correct. And
It
we
could
also know
possibly
this
be
for
so.
sure because one of the orders from the court specifically says it. One of the orders specifically says, like, ultimately he came to an agreement, and the agreement, they reduced his support to $336 in exchange for him making those payments. They lifted the warrant, and they said that I think they said they were going to lift the suspension of his license if he caught up with the payments. So you'll have to
And he
find
couldn't
out.
pay three. Oh, wow. I'm
And if you
insulted.
pay something, they will not suspend your driver's license. If you pay something,
Good
it's when you
point.
pay nothing.
Good
So
point.
you just ain't taking care of your children around here.
What's that, Anonymous?
I said, so you're just not taking care of your children around here.
Right.
That's crazy to me.
Not financially, at least. Maybe he's there to give them hugs and kisses and, hey, check my schoolwork and.
Right.
But
Anonymous, so you guys go out on dates?
Good question.
We do.
Does
who
he
pays?
want the bill?
He does. Yeah, he always pays.
Oh.
But might not be able to afford it. Now I'm like,
is he paying with
Yeah.
cash or credit?
With That's a good question. Not cash, with a card. I'm not sure if it's credit or debit or.
Okay. You'll take a look at the card when you get a chance. I asked because I dated a poor
Right.
person once, and inadvertently.
Oh no.
Yes. Girl, he graduated with a degree from Morehouse. He studied finance,
Right.
previously worked at a bank. And I remember he had like a wad of cash in his pocket. And I thought it was strange because he was using cash to pay for gas. We were going to get gas, of course, in my car. And I was like, why don't you just use your debit card? And he said, because it charges me $1.25 every time I use it.
Oh no.
And it was at that
One
moment
of
I
them
realized,
green dot cards?
yes, it was Green Dot.
What kind of card? Oh
It was like a Green
no.
Dot Rev Rush type of card. It was a prepaid card, right?
Get out.
Because he could
And
not.
he was in finance, girl. Bye.
He was
Oh,
40
get
years old.
out.
He was the one that I met when I went to Dominican Republic and I had too many drinks at the Memorial Day getaway. Remember I told you that story, Kyra?
Oh, you did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't.
But he really did. And so I thought to myself, you know what? If Bank of America doesn't trust you, then neither do I. Because
Oh Lord.
that means that there's some bank out there who he's got a negative balance with, he's overdrawn, he's got hot checks, and still has not made it right. Because once it's made right, that will be lifted and you can get an account with a bank. But I also thought like, well, I don't ever want to get an account with him because whatever you have outstanding is going to impact me, you doofus. So I just say that to say, yeah, you might want to look at all of that. But overall, what it seems is he's not violent. He is none of those things. He appears to have this. Go ahead.
He just seems like he's like the sweetest heart ever, right? So like my whole thing with him is me telling myself that, hey, you have this checklist of men that you're used to being with. And because my husband was like the total opposite, right? My late husband, the total opposite. Just
As in a provider and
right, and all of that is stable, responsible, provider, all that stuff. Um, and then since him, like people try to set me up, men try to, go out with me and stuff like that. But I'm really like high on energy and all of that stuff. And it just it seems like the kind of man that I've been attracted to, like the successful, the office and this and that, education check, whatever, high pay, high earner, have been jerks, right?
Yeah.
And so I told myself, well, maybe you need to like try something different. Like,
Broke
you're dating the
too.
same man over and over.
Don't try
And
to do it. Because
so
poor
I try to be open minded. Like, okay, I don't care that he has like a certain kind of job, or
no
let me
problem.
look at him for, look at other aspects, like his personality and how he treats
I
me.
mean, a man
And
can work in a
oh,
factory. That's fine, but you don't want a liar who works in a factory.
exactly. And it turned out to be no different.
And you don't want someone who it's okay if you're working in a factory or getting some type of consistent income while you grow another business or while
Yeah,
you're in school or while you're doing
absolutely.
something to get you elsewhere, right? But if he's content with that, if he's happy with that, because when I did pull up his work history, the companies, they were all in manufacturing as you discussed.
Ay.
Um,
Mhm.
and that
Mm-mm.
might be something, if he has a degree in his country, obviously they don't
Mhm.
recognize it here. That could largely be an
Right.
issue. But at some point, he's been here for over a decade now, like
Right.
almost 15 years. And so at some point, you have to tell yourself, okay, well, maybe I need to go to some form of schooling
What do
here,
you
get
do
an
to
associate
elevate yourself?
something to
Yeah.
do more. But at the end, like, don't feel like you tried broke. You can cross that off your list now.
Girl.
All for
I'm all for trying something different and being,
Right.
but don't ever
But
look
I didn't want it like this different. Like this
Listen,
is like next
I know
level.
Africans, the first
no,
thing
no,
they
that's my
do when
point.
they
Like,
come to
it's
the
okay to
US
be
is they
okay,
go to
open to
school.
different, but don't ever lower your standards. Like, if he
Yes,
Right.
like
yes.
provide again, it's not so much as okay, you provide financially, but if you don't even have the foundation to do so, then like we're not at the stage of helping somebody, take care of themselves. Like you have to already be able to stand on your own 2 feet. And he obviously
Right.
cannot afford to take care of his own
right.
children and do what he needs to do. So
Mm.
And keeps
I'm a
making
And
yeah,
as a mom, that's just a no for me. As
yes.
yes.
a single
Africans
mother too, like
Africans are
taking care of my
very driven,
children,
very
college
driven.
funds in place, and that's just unacceptable.
Yeah,
Right.
and
Because note too, with regards to the kids, we only see the records of those they don't pay on, right? So
yeah,
if, as that document specifically said, he has some children that he's not on child support for at all, right? So those are not going to be reflected in the record. So there's a chance he has even more children than the
Oh
four
Lord.
that we've discovered today, because he could have ones that
Mhm.
are in other states. Um,
Mm.
he could have, of course, it could be we don't think he goes to his country very often, but they could be in other states. They could not be on support. And many states seal the records of family law cases, of family and support cases. So I wouldn't have access
Okay.
to those either. So
yeah.
I'm just going based off what she said. And our viewer, Vernell, she's making a good point, which is you have to turn. She says you have to turn him loose because you can't have him around your special needs child at all. Forget
Right.
between his legs. You can get that anywhere. Well, that is true, especially if you got some money. Now he's a good looking man. She sent me a photo because I was trying to confirm that who I thought it was. He
Mhm.
was, and so he's real good looking. He ain't ugly at
Okay,
all.
but so the question is, do you ghost him or do you say, "Hey, I
Yes,
came across some information and it's led me to the conclusion that this is not a good arrangement and I no longer
Right.
see you. Thank you
Yeah.
very
Well,
much.
I
Good
don't
luck in
feel like
your."
I don't feel like I owe him that explanation.
Okay,
I don't ghost him because I wouldn't want to do that or be
okay,
ghosting myself. So I don't ghost him, but I do tell him that this isn't gonna work. And I don't feel like I have to give much of an explanation about that.
okay, good, good.
Um, and I can do that, you know.
someone
Yeah.
has asked, "Did your late husband leave you financially stable such that the new man won't have to provide for your kids?" If
He
you know,
did.
I figured that. And do you have a degree? Are you educated?
I do. Yes.
Okay. What's your level of education, if you don't mind me saying? Like bachelor's, beyond that?
Masters.
Okay. Yeah, I have also found that over time, and it's probably less of an issue as you get older, honestly, but I have also found that with men who don't have like at least a bachelor, sometimes at least as associates, they tend over time to resent me or look down on me or feel that
Yeah.
I'm looking down on them even when I'm not.
Yep.
They have a tendency to feel like, one, oh, you think you don't need me or you don't need me because they've told themselves that.
Yeah,
Or
and
go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. And that's one of the things that was actually different about this fella is he
Uh-huh.
didn't give those vibes. He gives
What?
really confident in himself vibe. And that's one of the things that attracted him to him because other guys I've went on dates with, and including the other two guys I was in a longer term relationship with in the past, had that. Even though one of them was a doctor, like a medical
Ooh,
doctor, he
okay.
still had that, oh, you act like
Mhm.
you're better than me, or just trying to break my spirit type
Mhm,
thing, and just
mhm.
intimidated by
Yeah.
who I was.
Yeah.
And
So
so
he
that's
checked
one of
some
the things that
boxes.
makes me feel made me feel a little less comfortable right now, but made me feel more comfortable with this gentleman is
Okay.
that he never gives that. Um, Always like he's more like uplifting and didn't feel
Mm,
like he was trying to steal my shine. I brought him
gotcha.
to a company event and
Oh, okay.
he sat back and just kind of let me do my thing and was just playing that like supportive role.
No, no, no. Run.
Ah.
Run, run, run,
But
Wait.
run.
No, what's
Just
wrong with
as
him
fast as you
feeling back and
can.
what's wrong with him being a supportive playing the
No,
supportive role? What is he
because
supposed to
he
do?
doesn't want to engage. He doesn't want people to know things about him because he
Oh,
has
he
a
may
lot
not
to
want them to know
hide.
he's uneducated. Now that might be the
That
case.
oh no,
that
no,
and
he
other
was
things.
when I say step back, he was engaged. He was having conversations.
Okay.
He was part of the dialogue and stuff. I
Okay.
think I mean when I said step back, like he literally was like holding my purse for
How
me
supportive.
and
Okay.
taking pictures of me and my colleagues and saying, "Hey, let me take that picture," and
Got you.
like
No,
stuff
I
like
see what you're
that. And he'll get in some photos, but
so
that's what I
he's
mean.
gotcha.
So that part
Aw, nice
is
guy.
sweet and it's nice. So I feel like supported in that way. But the other stuff, like there's some red flags we came across
No, we
tonight,
need
like
full
the
full
whole
package.
Somebody
Please,
said he is
please.
supportive because he brings nothing to the table.
Oh my God. That's how mine was. My poor person. Oh my gosh. Like if I was gonna be late for like a meeting, he would like call, he'd be like, "Oh, do you want me to call them and let them know you're gonna be late?" One time he did that. Because I was like driving from New Orleans to Pensacola, and he was like, "Oh, wait a minute, but your meeting's at this time? Oh, it's a different time zone. Let them know." And he was so wrong. They were in the same time zone, but he still
oh
like, he
Lord.
got my meeting postponed. So I was like, "Oh my God, you can't count and you're poor. Well, maybe that's why you are poor."
Oh God.
But here's
No.
the thing, you have to have a list of qualities and they have to check all the boxes. It doesn't have to
Right.
be like stringent boxes, but just because he's nice doesn't mean you
Well, one
ignore
of
all
my
of the other stuff.
oh yeah, no, one of my big red flags is not taking care of your kids. Like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
a big one
And
for
there are
me.
women who
That's
Me
won't
a
too.
care.
non-negotiable for me.
There are women who
Me
I
won't
too.
just
care.
don't play those games.
Because even if you
Yeah.
disagree or you don't get along with the woman, that's no excuse to not pay your share. Because, guys,
Right.
child support is only 20% of your income, right? And the more kids you have, the less you have to give to any individual mom. So
Yep.
if you know you're struggling and you only have one, then stop having the rest of them back to back with separate households because that increases it. But when I hear a guy be like, "Oh, I don't want to be put on child support," knowing that it's
Yeah.
only 20% of your income, it's like, come on, if you had that kid in your household and you were the primary parent, you'd be spending way more than 20%.
Yep.
Way.
Abs-
Yes.
And then
Absolutely.
you're driving around here on suspended license.
Yeah.
That makes me question your judgment.
And let me be clear, that is unacceptable as well, because even when your license gets suspended, and a lot of people don't realize this, even when it gets suspended, no matter what the reason, the Constitution mandates that you have some access to a license to get you to work, to get you to
Yeah.
child care for your kids and those things. So there's something called like it's an occupational license or hardship license, right?
Yes.
That you can
Right.
apply
You
for.
can get that.
And
Right.
you can get that. So my DUI clients, I have them get that. Him having the child support issue, he can still get
He can
that.
still get that.
And
Yeah.
he
He
should
probably
have
can't
gotten that.
afford no attorney to understand to do that.
He should know how to Google. Or when he found out it was suspended, they actually, in the letters, when they say your license is suspended, they tell you if you need a hardship or if you go to this website, come here. We know he can read.
All you have to do is ask, because they want you to be able to go to work, like you said.
Right.
Because
You
you
gotta be able
got
to
to
work,
pay the child support.
take care of your
Right.
kids, and do
Yep.
that stuff. But yeah, getting arrested for child support is not cool. So finally, you guys. Oh, go ahead, Kyra.
No, just really quick. I've been seeing some of the comments asking, like, well, what were they talking about during their 6 months and this, that, and the third. So I just want to say, for those who maybe came in later, I did ask Anonymous early on, like, you know, has she brought up his history and his past and things like that? And she did say that they, you know, had talked about it, but obviously he did not disclose any of this information.
Right.
So I just want to put that back out there. People are like, well, what were they talking about? She asked them and they had these conversations, but homeboy just obviously wasn't going to air
left
his own.
out some key details.
And honestly, people don't really get into the nuts and bolts, the nitty gritty of their financial stuff unless they're about to move into something more serious. So he might have been holding back, but at the same time, there were some things he should have told you from
Them
jump.
other kids?
Yes.
Well, like the kids
The
and
kids should have
multiple
been,
mothers.
yes,
Like that's a
from
bold-faced
jump.
lie.
It looks like it's at least 3. It appears to be at least 3.
Including the one with the wife?
Including the wife. Yeah, so at least 2 other women because they reference separate households.
That he should
In
have
that
told
order.
you up front about those kids. Absolutely.
Yeah,
In
that's
that
key.
order. So, and you guys still go to the same church?
No, we don't. We never went to the same church.
Oh.
I go to a different church. I was invited to his church.
Oh, okay. Is that how you met, by being invited to his church?
No, I
Sorry.
met from he volunteered for something with my work. So he was on my team.
Maybe that was to pay off some of
He was doing community service.
Right.
Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord.
He wasn't wearing a jumpsuit.
And that was one of the things, too, where I was like, oh, you know, he's a volunteer. And it seems like a nice person.
Sounds like he shouldn't be volunteering nothing. Sounds like
right.
He need all the paid
work
hours.
At $14.98. Also, to those, and I know they do a lot of talk these days saying like you're unreasonable for asking for 6 figures. You have to understand, we are talking about men over the age of 40, right?
Yeah.
And as men who do have degrees, if you think about it, in the most case, if you have a degree at this point and you're in your 40s, you've been in the same industry, or you've been in an industry with a degree, doing degreed work for 20 years. So you should be able to make around 6 figures at the age of 40, 45. We're not talking about 27-year-olds. So I don't think that that's an unreasonable ask. Now, if you're talking about people who don't have degrees, that's totally different. And I understand that. But yeah, someone was saying, 2 ways to get out of child support are turning over the house to the mother of the child. That is true. However, here, that mother didn't own the home. So the house that he has, I don't know if he has any children with that woman, because again, if he's not on child support for that, so it wouldn't be reflected. But I wouldn't be surprised. However, so he can't turn over the house to the mother because they didn't share one together and they didn't have a house at the time they divorced. And number 2, use your money to buy or create a business to provide financially. And he did try to do that. He created a delivery company of some sorts, which apparently he still has today, right?
Right.
Did he get a PPP loan for that?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, Lord.
Quite possibly. Quite possibly. So, well, Anonymous, thank you so much for joining us. You give me until tomorrow. I'll gather everything and I'll send it over to you for your safe self-keeping. And just to conclude, are you planning to have a conversation with him about what you've uncovered?
You know, I am.
Okay.
I am. I am planning to have a conversation with them
Right.
because like I said, I'm not gonna ghost him. But
Mm-hmm.
there's just a lot of,
That's nice.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I, yeah, I just can't. It's
He will
gonna be
try
too
to
much
No,
explain
you
energy
don't
all
need
of
on
it.
my.
to.
It's
You
gonna
don't
be
need
too much
So
energy on my
to.
part. It's just easier for me to have a conversation and
Yeah.
walk away.
And
yeah,
that's how you'd want to be treated. Let's treat other people the way
Yeah,
we do.
yes.
Is this
right,
conversation
right.
be over the phone or in person?
No, in person.
You sure?
Oh, that's nice of you. Well, he
Yeah.
doesn't seem dangerous. He doesn't seem
No,
dangerous.
he's not dangerous.
Well, no, he's just going to
Maybe,
try
but
to
not
explain
dangerous.
things away and be like, baby, you don't understand, and probably put his hand on your back and
But
rub your
just come
No, he
back to
won't. He won't. He won't do that.
just come back to
He won't.
us. Come back to the comments. And these girls are riding for you, and they're definitely going to
Hmm.
support you. So we thank you for
Thank
being
you.
with us today.
He
It's
Absolutely.
won't do
late,
that.
Good
guys.
Yeah,
luck.
I don't play those games.
Keep us
Okay.
updated, please.
Yes.
Yes,
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. We
Thank
really
you for the
appreciate it.
information. Like
Absolutely.
something was telling me, like, yo, be careful.
That gut,
Tread
listen to your
Yes.
brain
lightly.
and your gut.
Tread
When was the
lightly.
last time your intuition was wrong? Never.
Right. Right.
Never.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a great night. All right, guys, and it's really late, so we're gonna leave on that one note with just this one. We'll save the next one for next week. But also, once again, if you are interested in getting and in receiving a free one, you're gonna need to follow, and I'll put it in the description. Follow me on Instagram on Girl Is That Legal on my YouTube. Also, even if you've watched this and joined us from Ages and Stages, could you head over to Girl Is That Legal and, like, I don't know, play it while you're on the toilet or something, because I need to get my hours up. I'm short like 2,000 hours before I can monetize it. So I really appreciate the support there. And share it with a friend. Please share it with a friend. And also, if you know anyone, or even if you have a friend and you don't trust her boyfriend, send in that information. You might be able to win one, get the results, and then you can go share it with your friend.
Ooh.
Yes. So thank you again to my guests, both Attorney Kyra and Attorney Ayana. Make sure you check out her podcast, Ayana Explains It All. And ladies, I'll let you plug whatever you like before we go. Kyra, you first.
You guys can just follow me over on Instagram at It's Coffee Time. And from there, it gets links to my attorney page, attorney_coffee, my law firm, and a couple other podcasts me and Symone are talking about me bringing you back. So just be sure to follow me again at It's Coffee Time on Instagram.
Awesome. And Ayana?
And you can find my podcast at AyanaExplainsItAll.com. That's AYANA explainsitall.com. I am on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. I am Law Girl on Instagram, and you can link to all of my socials from the website, but also from my Instagram. That's LAWGURRL.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. And leave a comment below. If you haven't liked, please hit that like button. Also subscribe at Girl Is That Legal, whether you're watching on Ages and Stages or on Girl Is That Legal. I appreciate the support, and let's help me get monetized. All right. Good night, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.